I welcome to all participants and all our honorary members of Saksham Society. On the fourth day of the workshop, we will learn about outcome based learning, basis for enhanced teacher education curriculum, ETEC by Vaishali Anand. Vaishali Anand is a TQ UK certified learning and development expert, TEFL certified from Thailand, gold medalist in Master in Education Literature from Delhi University, an NLP practitioner and a researcher of domain of literature and education. And her life is dedicated to bring positive transformation in lives of students, education system, and policies. For this purpose, she conducting workshops and seminars in different CBSE schools in Delhi and Haryana to create awareness on LSRW skills, phonology, and holistic development of students, teachers, and schools. So, I welcome to you and invite you to share your views on outcome based learning. So, over to Vishali Anand Madam now. Vishali ma'am.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Ma'am, can we have a screen mode? Yeah. Can I start?
Yes, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Today, the presentation that I'm going to give is on outcome-based learning, and we'll be going to associate with how the enhanced teacher education curriculum is based on outcome-based learning. And though it is a phenomena that is being, in not that much in use right now, but I hope that after, a lot of research being done on it, it gets included in our regular curriculum. Ma'am, can we have the first slide? Next. Yeah. So let's start with what exactly outcome-based learning is. So it's basically an educational philosophy. But if I'm talking about any philosophy, so it's really important to know who is the father of that philosophy and who has given that idea. So it was basically given by William Spady, who is a Filipino, and being a Philippine academician, he is also an educational psychologist, and a sociologist as well. So I have, whatever I could analyze, that if a person has an amalgamation of sociologist as well as a psychologist, so the theory that that person comes up with, it actually contributes some positivity to the society. So the outcome based learning, the phenomena that he has given, it is basically leading to a progress. How? And I will be telling you later on. So the objective sorry the outcome based learning, it is basically known by different kind of names. You may call it as performance based learning, you may call it as a standard based learning, and also it's called a transformational learning, because it actually brings transformation in the way, the education is looked at. So the focus of outcome based learning, if I talk about, is the outcome that comes after the the learning part. So right now our almost courses, they are dependent on the objective. Like the course objective is there. After completion of that course objective, what? After completion of that course objective, if you are able to do something, if you are able to create something, if you are able to perform something, then that means that your course is already working on outcome based learning. So here the focus is on what the learner will be able to do after completion of that course. So it is basically an approach which is which is get making decision about the curriculum, for which the exit part would be the outcome. So here the focus of or the curriculum and everything, it depends upon the outcome only. Therefore it's written that it is restructuring of the curriculum, the assessment, and the reporting practices. So everything in our course, it has to be it has to be there in the course, keeping in mind the final outcome. So the outcome which I'm talking about is like, for example, after completion of, because this is more focused on the academic part, so let me talk about the teacher education. So after completion of the any of the teaching program which we are enrolled in, if I am able to perform myself as a teacher, so that means that my course was based on the outcome based learning. I may have competence of being a teacher, but I'm not able to perform that competence. So that means that my course is lacking somewhere in the outcome part. I may have the knowledge, I may gain the knowledge, but if I'm not able to perform that knowledge, then that course is not based on outcome based learning, but it's mere just based on the objective based learning. So it has to implement the accreditation in the classroom setting. So by accreditation, I mean the accreditation bodies which are there. So I will be talking about the accreditation body, which is the prominent one, the Washington Accord, which is in the next slide. And why the accreditation is important? Because accreditation, it basically brings uniformity in the learning. So how you are learning, and different institutions, they are following curriculums. So if there is a uniformity in the curriculum, so if that student who is passing out of that college and is going to for the higher education, so how that higher education the recruiters and those who are allotting the colleges to that student, how they are analyzing that student, the accreditation part is very important in that. Because it shows that if you have, for example, if you are pass out with a UGC recognized college, then you have an accreditation that yes, you are from a UGC college, so there are certain qualities that will be imbibed in your curriculum. So it basically checks. Therefore accreditation becomes by sole important in the outcome based learning. And the basic and the very good part I feel of outcome based learning is that there is no fixed way of teaching in the classroom. You can be flexible with it. Therefore, it is called as restructuring, because it's not just following the normal norms which are laid for you. You know that our teaching methods, we have a lecture method, we have demonstration method, we have many methods, but how you can bring on improvements to it, how you can add on to it, that is the space which outcome based learning offers to you. And in outcome based learning, because the outcome is the final focus, so therefore the courses which are based on outcome based learning, they are result oriented. And by result, I do not just mean the knowledge gain, but by the result I also mean the performance, that how that student is able to perform after completing the basic course. And in outcome based learning, why is it different from the other learnings is because in outcome based learning there is a constructive alignment between the elements of the program and the ILO means intended learning outcome, that will basically come after the learning part, after your learning experience ends. And the element of programs are basically the curriculum, the methodology which you are using, the assessment which you are using. So every part of your every element of your program has to be based upon the outcome, the final outcome. Now, for example, if I'm talking about teaching program, so what's your final outcome of that? Like the candidate who is passing out of your college must be able to perform good, and that performance can only be made possible if that candidate has hands on experience. So I will be talking about ETEC, that's enhanced teacher education curriculum. Why outcome is becoming focus on it? Because it's very unfortunate part that there are many courses being offered by very good universities also. They have a theory part of your bachelor's in education, but when it comes to practice, when it comes to performing as a teacher, teachers do lag behind. Yes, there might be many faults, but also there are institutes who are offering you, who are saying that you will have a theory part in your BEd, you'll have a practice as well. But when it comes to the practice part, they just give you the certificates that yes, you have done your practice, but there is no practice that you have done. So those kind of courses, I want to say that those courses are not at all based on outcome based learning, because your final outcome will be the performance part, what you will be able to do after the course. And the basically the type of assessment that is being used in the courses which are based on outcome based, they are more analyzing you in the way you are performing after that. So if I'm talking about ETEC, so the enhanced teacher education curriculum, there your focus will be on the theory part, no doubt, because without having the learning theories, without knowing the cognitive behaviors of your students, you cannot analyze your students and you cannot at all perform better. But the focus which they are paying on the theory part, similar kind of focus they are paying on the practice as well, similar focus they are paying on the internships as well. So that actually gives you hands on experience. So when you are getting an hands on experience, you are able to analyze the loopholes that you are facing. So that is why outcome based learning becomes by default important, because if you are able to perform after completion of something, then that accounts you as a person who has actually learned something and having a mastery into it. So that is the basic idea of what outcome based learning is. So one thing that I want to add on to what exactly outcome based learning is, that it is based on the very famous three premises. One of being that all the students, they can learn and succeed. Everybody has capability and ability to succeed in their lives, to succeed in the curriculum. But we have to look that every student is with the individual difference. We cannot the one for all idea is not applicable here. So we have to be flexible enough that how we are catering to the students with the different backgrounds, with the different needs. So because we also have the inclusion of the inclusive classrooms now, so we have to be flexible in the ways we are teaching them, we are implementing the curriculum in the classroom. And one of the other premises is success breeds success. So obviously, if they are able to succeed in their practice part, in the the hands-on experience which they are getting, for sure, after completion of that practice part, when they are actually into the ground of teaching, then they will be able to show the talent which they are having. They will be able to show the skills that they have gained with that course. Next, one last premise is that schools control the success. See, a school are the building. What I can say, school is a building block. So if school is structured in such a way, by school I do not just mean the institution of school, but also I mean the colleges as well, because it's an institution of education. So all the institutions of education, if they are focused upon the outcome, that what my student will be able to do after this thing, so for sure that will enhance the the quality of the education that that school is offering or that college is offering, and also what that student is going to perform will also be enhanced. Next slide, please. Yeah. So why outcome based learning? Now, we have a lot of philosophies we know, and yes, no philosophy is perfect. Every philosophy has loopholes, but we have to look upon the positive ones, that how that positive one is going to impact. We cannot ignore the negative part, but we can reduce the effect of that negativity. So why outcome based learning is important? So let's look at this by dual perspective, because see, learning is not just about a student, but it's also about a teacher, because she is the one who is ultimately going to transfer that learning. She is the ultimate guide of that student, the ultimate facilitator of that learning. So we have to focus on both. So if I'm talking about that how outcome based learning is getting how the teacher is going to benefit from this outcome based learning is, so number one is that teacher, with the outcome based learning, she knows that what is the emphasis of my the course, that where I need to focus upon. You might, like, for example, let's take an example here. I am a mathematics teacher. I am teaching mathematics to my class, right? In mathematics there are abundance of things. You have multiplication, you have subtraction, addition, and so on and so forth. Out of all this cluster, what are you focusing upon? What do you want your student to learn? What do you want your student to perform just after you teach that student, just after you guide that student? So out of that cluster, if you're choosing addition, and addition is not just something that's your objective to teach, but addition is something that's also the outcome of that learner, because that learner will be able to perform addition just after you teach that student. So that is your emphasis. So outcome based learning, it helps us to derive the emphasis where we need to emphasize upon. So if I am focusing on addition, then that's my emphasis. So for the the duration, for a particular duration of time, I have to focus upon that only. I cannot add on probability and other things into it. So that is what it helps in deciding the emphasis. Number two, it helps us to analyze how best to teach, because now we as teachers in outcome based learning, we have flexibility to implement our teaching methodologies, our teaching strategies, our teaching techniques. We are not no more the rigid teachers. It's like that we if we are having a liberty, or if we are having a flexibility to mold the teaching methodologies according to our requirements, so why not take a chance to create something new? uh, See, our teaching way, our teaching strategy, it actually impacts a lot on the student. Remember, when we were in a school times, and it is very much logical as well, we develop interest and disinterest for certain subjects, but we don't know the reason of it. That why, for example, I am very much scared of maths. Why? I am very much fond of English. Why? There is logic behind that why as well. The teaching way, the teaching method. So that's the reason that students tend to develop interest in a subject and disinterest in a subject. I have seen many students who are very much interested in history, but there are a lot of students who do not even want to study history, not because it's boring, because the teaching method, the way that teacher is explaining that history becomes boring. Why just explain history with the lecture method? We can introduce a lot of activities. We can use the documentaries. We can show them documentaries. We can use a lot of things. There are abundant of teaching methodologies, but we have to take an initiative that how I can make my lessons very much interactive, how I can make them very much effective. So this is called the gamification of learning, and that gamification of learning focuses, it is an initiative that we have to take as an individual. No institute, no school will tell you that you have to gamify learning. It's on you, that how you are taking an initiative to add on to what basic you know. See, in the one of the previous presentations, when the 21st century teaching qualities were being discussed, one of the quality was a lifelong learner. Teacher has to be a lifelong learner. She can add on to what basic things she know. So that is that we will be able to analyze that how best we can teach to our students, and student will be more interested if you tell them that whatever you're going to learn in the classroom will help you outside as well. Now, for example, let's take an example of, say, constitutional rights. If I'm teaching constitutional rights to my students, why not make a relevance of it in the contemporary world, that for example you have right to equality. How you can use that right in contemporary situation, what exactly it has in relevance now. So if you make a connection between their school knowledge and their out of school knowledge, students will be really more interested to learn. And that is something which has been researched upon, and it has been proved that if you tell student that we are going to read this, student will not do that. But if you're saying that this is going to help you there, and tell the sphere where the thing will help that student will be interested to learn. So, and that is the main provision of NCF 2005 as well, the National Curriculum Framework 2005. The one of the guiding principles of it is that as teachers, as educators, it's our responsibility to make connection between the school knowledge and the out of school experience, so that student is able to make connection between what he is learning in the school and how he is going to use it outside. And next is, it also helps us in assessment part, because now our assessment is not on the objective, our assessment is on the outcome. So our assessment will be based on the learner's interest. So what right now, most of the schools and institutions, yes, we cannot change the assessment part of grading, we cannot change final exams, that is there and will be there, we cannot change that, but we can add on to the in between evaluation part of it. Like for example, we can introduce a lot of new techniques of assessment, like give them crossword puzzles. See, crossword puzzle is not just meant for smaller or younger kids, you can also give them in the higher classes, because that generates interest. And from my experience in Thailand, I had a teaching experience in Thailand. In the schools there, they have a final exam system as well, but in between teacher has a lot of liberty to use different assessment methods. Like for example, I have taught addition to a student, so rather than just giving them a worksheet on addition, you can play a game with them. Like stand, like make two students stand at a center and then say that make it a 4, so two students will come, because you have already told them that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. So that how adding and adding and adding, it increases their addition, and they're actually learning something without even knowing that they're learning, and you're assessing them as well. So we need to bring on the innovations in the way we are teaching, in the way we are assessing, in the way we are emphasizing on the course. So yeah, and one more most important thing is that I've already mentioned that you need to help students make connection between their knowledge which they are learning and they're going to use, and your expectation with that student should be very much clear and concrete. You should tell that student that you are going to learn this, and this you are going to use there. And uh, you know this is the expectation that you have to be you should be able to convey to your students in such a manner that the student is able to analyze that yes, this is going to really help me somewhere. So that is important part. So that's why I'm saying that outcome based learning is important for teachers, because everything is based upon it. And when I'm talking it in the terms of learners, then for sure, if you are giving them expectation, if you are also giving them that you are able to use this learning thing outside the school, you're able to use it in that way. So they will be more relied on you, because they know that whatever you're teaching them is going to help them somewhere. So the connection between the teacher and the learner, it improves. see, it will not be one night, in one night they cannot improve. But yes, slowly and gradually things will change. So that depends upon how impactful you are in delivering, that how much this is going to help you. And one of the very important features is that learners will actually master into it, because you are more focusing upon how much they are going to learn, what exactly it's going to contribute afterwards. So that in that way, we can say that outcome based learning is beneficial for both teachers and the students. Next slide, please. Yeah. So Washington Accord. Now, what is the importance of Washington Accord? See, outcome-based learning, if I talk about, is the concept which was being, implemented after signing of the Washington Accord. So basically, it is an international accreditation agreement which was signed by different signatories. India being one of them. India signed it in 2014 by the accreditation body NBA. Mostly, if I'm talking about specific terms, then Washington Accord, it is dedicated towards engineering academic degrees. But I am talking it in here, because Washington Accord, it become the reason, and it is the main path by which outcome based learning came into prominence. So the the engineering degrees, if I'm talking about, they are more focused upon engineers of being, because they are able to perform the the things they are going to learn in the engineering degree. So if your engineering degree is being accredited by NBA, that means that your course is based on outcome based learning, and you will be able to do something after completion of that course. So the focus of Washington Accord is prominently on the outcome based education. And Washington Accord, it basically recognizes that there has to have some substantial equivalence of programs that are accredited by those signatories. So whatever 19 or 17 signatories are there in Washington Accord, the degrees which are being run in the different institutes, those are being accredited with the Washington Accord. They are having an equivalence. They are equal in the terms of the values, they are equal in the terms of the curriculum that they are giving to their students. And so basically, it focuses on not only the engineers with the knowledge, but it also focuses on engineers with the practice. That is what we have to bring change in our teacher education system as well. We should not be just the teachers with education. We should not be just the teachers with the knowledge, but we have to be the teachers with the practice as well, so that we are able to perform good in the classrooms. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, now why outcome based learning is different from the traditional based learning? See, the traditional learning system, it was more focused upon that, how the objectives can be attained. Whatever the curriculum is setting an objective for the student, the course is setting an objective for the student, how he is able to attain it, how he is going to attain that. And in that way, teachers do not have that flexibility of using the different techniques in the classes. But in the courses which are based on outcome based learning, they are more giving chance for the critical thinking. And they are not just based upon that what you are learning in the classroom, but it's also focusing upon that how you are going to use that learning later on. So the focus is being shifted from what is learned to how you are going to utilize that learning. So the focus, obviously, if the focus is on the students learning the outcome of the student, so obviously the students will very much engaged into it, they will be very much active into it. So that is one of the prominent thing which I thought is that students really become active in this. And here the emphasis is on the learner's outcome. And in the traditional learning system, if I talk about, there the emphasis was on what teacher is going to teach in the classroom, and what your curriculum is offering you. But in the outcome based learning, you have really very much flexibility in implementing that curriculum. Next slide. Yeah. So I really want you all to look at this picture very carefully. This is an illustration that I have taken from one of my favorite novellas, that is Alice in the Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. And see, let me tell you the context of it before explaining what exactly how it is linked with the outcome based learning. So the context of it is that Alice is walking in the forest, and one of the cats, is there on the tree. And Alice, she asks cat that, what is the way? So cat asks that where you want to go. Alice says that I don't know. So cat therefore says that if you don't know where you are going, any road will get you there. This is how outcome based learning is there, because it is focused upon the outcome. Your outcome is your initial thing for which you are moving. So unless you define the destination, unless you know where you want to go, any path will take you there. So it does not actually matter that on which path you are going. Now, for example, if I call you and I say that come to Delhi, and you reach Delhi, okay, but I have not told you that what you have to do after reaching Delhi, then what is your point of, having that long journey way to Delhi? That is exactly what I'm trying to explain you is that if you do not know that how you're going to utilize the learning part, then learning anything will not help you if you do not know how to utilize it. If today you are studying a course and you do not know that how to utilize the knowledge that I'm gaining from that course, then that learning part, it becomes vague because it is not leading you anywhere. So that is the main focus, that your outcome which you're going to achieve, it has to be very much specific, very much measurable, and very much achievable. Next slide. Yeah. So features of outcome. So because outcome is the focus, so therefore we are talking about that how the outcome should be. What should be the features that outcome should have? So the three A's of the, the feature of outcome is it has to be very much authentic. It has to be very much achievable. You cannot set unachievable outcomes. If today I am teaching addition to a student and I'm setting an outcome that after 2 days that student will be perfect in addition, that's not an achievable outcome. So our outcomes, the features, it is that it has to be very much authentic, achievable, and accessible. You should be able to assess it. Then it has to have competency and performance. Now this competency and performance, I want to explain it to you with relation to the linguist who actually gave these terms of competency and performance. So there is one of the great linguist. His name is Noam Chomsky. He gave these terms of competency and performance. And by competency, he means the knowledge gain. He gave these terms in the terms of in relation with the linguistics, the language part. But I will try to mold it in the terms of outcome part. So competency means the knowledge gain. That for sure, if you're going to do something, you should have mastery on it. You should have at least the knowledge that whatever you're going to speak up, or whatever you're having in your head is right. But more than competency, performance is something that is really important. You know what are the skills you are required to be a teacher. You know the learning theories, you know teaching methodologies, you know assessment techniques. What after it if you're not able to perform in the classroom? Now, um, I personally feel that there are many things that are being lagged behind in teacher education curriculums, that we only like whatever I have analyzed is that we have knowledge about all these things, the teaching methodologies and all that. But when we are actually into the classrooms, the things which we face that we do not understand or we are not able to do is time management, anger management. Teachers get angry. I have seen many teachers getting angry because students are asking them twice or thrice something which they have already explained. So these are the things that, these are the things when you are able to analyze only when you are into the field. So therefore performance becomes important here. Then it has to be very much concretely measurable, that you should not make an outcome that is very much abstract. Now let me give you an example of it. I'm saying two sentences, so just evaluate both of them and try to analyze that which one is more powerful. So sentence number one: I am going to take preventive measures to save environment. I am going to take preventive measures to save environment. Sentence number 2. I am going to plant a tree every week. What's the difference? The second sentence is more concrete, is more measurable. I can measure, yes, I have, planted these much trees. But the first one, I am going to take a preventive measures. Don't you think it's more on an objective that you are going to do? And the second part is more focused on the outcome, that yes, tree will be planted. So that is how we have to set our outcomes. It has to be very much concretely measurable. Then another feature is standard. For sure, your outcome has to have a standard, because if it is having a particular standard, that means that whatever you are going to learn from it is going to help you out somewhere in the future. So it has to have uniformity. Then next, the knowledge and the skills. Now, yeah, so knowledge and the skills. Knowledge we will gain because we're going to learn something. Skills we will have to develop as well. Now by skills I mean all the skills, be it life skills, be it professional skills, be it intellectual skills, interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, all kind of skills. Now many people tend to confuse that intellectual skills just means that you have an intellect, but intellectual skill is not just limited to that. We only see at the positive things, that intellectual means that you're having a good intellect, but by intellectual I also means that you should not have built the mental blocks in your mind. You should not bias among different students in your classroom, because you will be dealing with diversity of students. So you should not have mental blocks related to subject, related to students, related to language, any mental block, because that's not acceptable being a teacher. Then yeah, we can add on an example to it. There is a very great novel. I hope you all you are familiar with it. It is Hard Times by Charles Dickens. um, in that novel, there was a teacher whose name was Mr. Chokum Child. Now, see, the name itself is explaining Chokum Child, as if choking a child, child's throat. So, that teacher, he has a problem with literature. He used to say that literature is something that makes you emotional, that is not there to empower you. So he already had mental blocks in his mind. So any student who used to love literature, then he used to have an image that this student is not acceptable, because this student is rather emotional. So these kind of mental blocks teachers should not have. So teachers should be very much free minded, very much open minded. She should be acceptable. Then next is attainable goals. Obviously, your goals has to be attainable, and the knowledge which you are gaining, understanding the skills which you are getting, you should be able to use it. So basically, so there is a quotation that I have taken from the original article of William Spady, in which he said that outcome is culminating demonstration of learning. So that means that whatever you are learning, you're going to demonstrate it, and that demonstration is your outcome. Learning is one step back of an outcome, because you are into the process of outcome. Then once you have learned, you are able to demonstrate it. That's the final outcome. Next, SMART. Now, SMART is the acronym that is basically used to explain the learning outcome. And by SMART, I means S here is specific. That means that your outcome has to be very much specific. It has to be concrete. It has to be focused. It has to be well defined. So, if I'm talking it in the terms of schools, the education that we are giving, the outcome of student should not be just to summarize what you are teaching that student, but he should be able to think on it. Are you getting me? So in the Bloom's taxonomy, you have a hierarchy where it talks about the creation, the evaluation, the synthesis part. So we have to take our student to that level. It is not possible to take it in one go, but yes, you can work upon it. So our outcome has to be, if we are setting an outcome where our outcome should is not just summarizing of what we are teaching, it should inculcate deep thinking. Then ultimately that student will be compelled to think about it. If you're giving him the questions related to reasoning, then students will be able to think on it. There are many schools in Thailand. I do not know if Indian schools are implementing it or not, but in Thailand they are having a session on reasoning part where the analytical skills of students are being enhanced. So that kind of specific outcome we should focus upon. Then the measurable, it has to be very much measurable. If you're not able to measure the outcome, then there is no point of setting the outcome. So it's that way you can uh, analyze it, that how it has to be measurable. It has to be achievable for sure. Then it has to be realistic, because I gave an example of constitutional rights. So it has to be realistic, it has to be relevant. You should not set an outcome that is that is not relevant, because if you're setting an outcome that's not relevant, then the outcome can never be achieved. So it has to be realistic and relevant. It has to be timely. You should be able to observe it in the particular time. But outcome based learning, it gave the premise of it was that all the students cannot learn at one pace. So we as teachers have to make our lectures that make our classes that flexible, that if that student is not able to achieve it in a particular period of time, then how we can contribute or how we can work upon that student so that that student is able to achieve it. So we have to take that margin of remedial teaching or the diagnostic teaching which we talk about. Next. Yeah. So learning objective and learning outcome, I have already talked about it though, but learning objective, it is learning objective is basically the skills that's mastered, and learning outcome is the skill that you are able to demonstrate. The learning objective, if I'm talking about, it requires the use of basic thinking, because you are using basic thinkings that you are going to achieve that objective with. But learning outcome, it focuses upon the higher level thinking, that is your student able to create something or not. So it is that much on the focus. Next. So, see, when we are setting an objective, so assessment obviously by default becomes the focus of that outcome based learning. So, we are defining an outcome in which we are setting that what the student will be able to do after this learning. Then, in specific measures, we are talking about the strategies and the curriculum that is being implemented. And in the focus assessment, we have to focus upon that on what criteria we are assessing that student, and how the performance, it should be assessed in such a way that students skills are being showcased. So therefore it is said that outcome based learning, it is basically the restructuring of the curriculum, the teaching and the assessment part of it. Next. Okay, so assessment of learning and assessment for learning. I'll not take much time on this slide because assessments, I'll just be focused upon what exactly it is. Assessment of learning basically talks about the content that is being transmitted. We are just, we are assessing the content that is being transmitted. And in assessment for learning, we are focused upon that what can more we recommend, that student to learn. So how to enhance the learning of that student. Then it embeds basically that assessment, that we can assess that student throughout the teaching learning process so that students can learn more. And assessment for learning is more learner focused, because there the learning assessment need is being analyzed. Both are the educational philosophies, but the only difference is the way we look at it. Next. Okay, learning from outcomes. Now, what exactly we should learn from the outcomes? We tend to focus that marks and grades are something which are there to judge a student, but it's not just to judge a student, it's rather to assess the learners, that what, the learning part, what he has gained. But as teachers, we have to become motivators, that how we can motivate that student to learn from that outcome. So, how they can improve on it. So if you are telling them that how you can improve on this, then you are adding granularity to those grades, that how they can basically go beyond the grades. Next. Next slide. Okay, so Bloom's taxonomy. If I'm talking that how the Bloom's taxonomy is important in outcome-based learning, so basically Bloom's taxonomy helps us to plan the teaching and evaluation part very much systematically, because our ultimate goal is the creation part. That is the end part of the Bloom's taxonomy. So it helps us to plan the curriculum in such a way that the specific the specific intended outcomes are being achieved. The learning outcome is being achieved. And taxonomy basically is important here, because taxonomy in the normal terms help us to set the objectives. In the outcome based learning, it helps us to analyze the outcome that is being gained after completion of that course or the curriculum part. Next next Okay, enhanced teacher education curriculum. Now, this is something that is central of this presentation. Why? Because we are focused upon teacher education. So, National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 2010, it highlighted that the education and training of a prospective teacher should have two things in the focus. Number one, it should have the competency of being a teacher, the knowledge that is required to be a teacher. And number two, the teachers should be very much equipped with the skills that they are going to perform after that teacher. What we generally tend to get is that we know that these are the skills that we need, but we are not able to implement those skills. So many organizations are taking initiatives to include three things in their curriculum, and that is being said by ETEC: theory part, practice part, and the internship part. So one of them is CENTA. It's an organization which is working with Manipal Academy of Higher Education, and both of them collaboratively are working towards this internship part, because this is the time when you are in the ground as teachers and you're able to analyze the loopholes which you can work upon being to be an effective teacher. And NCTE is a body, statutory body, that's basically working on the it's basically working in the matters that's regarding to the teachers education. And NCTE has joined hands with NAC, that's National Assessment and Accreditation Body council, that basically focuses to foster the quality education. So here, by quality education, it means that you are able to perform as a teacher. So that is the most important part of the outcome based learning, that for which enhanced teacher education curriculum is basing on. Next. Okay, so these are the learning intended outcomes that teachers will get out of outcome based learning. If their system, if their curriculum is being based on outcome based learning. So number one is good teaching. See, there is a difference between teaching and good teaching. Teachers, anybody can be teachers, but to be good teachers, how efficient you are in your field, how much you are able to give to your students. So that is how impactful you are as a teacher. So that is the good teaching, and the good teaching is the basic premise of ETEC. Then the teacher's task. Our task is not just limited to classrooms, but we as facilitators of learning, we are also the course facilitators. We cannot change the curriculum, but we can change the way the curriculum is being implemented in the classroom by inculcating lots of new things in our teaching methodologies and the assessment part of it. Then teachers should be able to demonstrate the level of teaching learning process. She should be able to master the content and the pedagogical principle that is actually applicable for the teaching and learning process. She should be able to create and innovate, because teacher is a lifelong learner. So she should be able to create and innovate the teaching approaches to actually improve student learning. She should be able to apply the different instructional strategies that she is learning, and she is enhancing in her own way. She should be able to articulate the clear understanding of what exactly the student is going to learn to those students, because if they know what they're going to learn, they will be more interested in learning it. Then teachers should be able to facilitate learning in the diverse classroom setting. So remember, Harvard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory talks about that we have 8 multiple intelligences in our head, and some intelligences are prominent in some and some are prominent in others. So we have to keep in mind that our students which we are going to deal with are diverse. So our lessons should be planned accordingly, that those the the students with different intelligences, with the different individual differences, are able to analyze. Therefore, nowadays it's being implemented in the classroom that games, songs, videos, all these things are being used, because these are to basically focus upon the different intelligences, and the students with different intelligences can actually learn what they're going to uh, you know see, or what they're going to learn here. And next, next, yeah. So these are the personalities of an ideal graduate of teacher education program based on outcome based learning. They should be reflective. They should be highly professional. They should be good, master in their subject. For sure, they have to be sensitive, sensitive to the diversity which they are dealing with, the subject which they are going to deal with, and they should have multicultural acceptance, because for sure they're going to be a diverse classroom, which they're going to deal with. They should be innovative, they should be lifelong learner, highly skilled, and they should be adaptable to the the things which are changing in the education system. Now, how to check if your course is actually following an outcome based learning model? Number one is curriculum framework. If your course is based on outcome based learning model, then your course will have three things in it. One is theory, another is practice, and then internship. So because ETEC, it focuses upon these things, and your course will have competence, as well as it will make you professionally equipped for the job. So if your course is having this, bravo, that means your course is already following an outcome based learning model. Then clear expected learning outcome. If your course is having expected learning outcome, and that is very much clear, outcome, not the objective part. Objective will be there, but outcome, if your course is having that learning outcome and it is very much clear and concretely explained, then your course is based on outcome based learning model. It has to be have a standard based assessment. Now, standard based assessment, it will include the assessment which teachers will will be flexible at during the course. So and next is, it should be working upon the unsuccessful student. So the concept of remedial and diagnostic teaching will be there if your course is based on outcome based learning. Yeah. Principles of outcome based learning: clarity of focus, because your outcome is your focus. So your outcome is that your student will be able to demonstrate the learning, whichever, whatever he has gained. So your focus should be very much clear. And everything that teacher contributes to in the classroom should be focused in keeping in mind that the student is able to perform that learning. Next, designing the curriculum. So, before designing the curriculum, your focus is the outcome. With that outcome, you are actually, associating the other elements, designing your curriculum, your instructional decisions, your assessment part. Next, that is high expectations. Now, teachers should establish the challenging standards of performance to engage students deeply. So, if you're basing a challenge in front of a student, that this is what you're going to learn and this is how you're going to use it later on, so that actually sets an expectation, and student will be going to work upon it. And teacher's part is being a facilitator. She is being a guide to that student, and student is walking on that path. Last is expanded outcome. So by expanded outcome, I mean that see, it is based on the idea that not all learners can learn same thing in a same way at a same time. So learners are having individual differences, so you have to give him liberty for that. Then benefits of outcome based learning: clarity of focus, I've already explained. Flexibility, by flexibility I mean that there should be flexibility in the mediums of instruction, in the meaning of assessment also. Then comparison, obviously there will be comparison of different institutions, and if there will be a comparison of different institutions, so the institutions that following the outcome based learning method will be more preferred by the recruiters as well. Involvement, students are getting responsible for their own learning now, so therefore students involvement enhances. Drawbacks, next. Drawbacks. Now, there is everything is pros and cons. So the drawback of outcome based learning is one of the very prominent I'll talk about is that the concept of outcome, because it then becomes subjective. So how you are analyzing what outcome should be, that becomes problematic somewhere. Then generality. whatever grades that student is getting, we tend to generalize it on the, the quality of that student. But those grades should not be generalized, because those grades are just based on whatever he is going to perform in exam. So we should not generalize. I mean, that if that student is getting 40%, that doesn't mean that student is not intelligent. Maybe that student is much more talented in other things rather than academics. So we have to look upon it now, parent. Yeah. So looking outcome based learning from lens of employability, see, because it is outcome, so it's demonstration. So at the end, the focus is your employability, that what you will be able to do after it. And employability nowadays, it has actually become buzzword for education. So industry, it looks for that what you can do rather than what and from where you have studied. It becomes secondary then. If for now, for example, if you have got a degree from a university which is which is not that much famous, but you are really doing very good in your demo as a teacher, so you will be hired. Why? Because you are able to perform something. So industry is looking for what you can do once you are into their company. So that is why education is nowadays becoming input for the industry. So outcome based learning, the courses that are being focused on the outcome based learning, that have been focused based on it, they are making you that much efficient that you are able to perform once you are into employment. So even nowadays, learners have become that efficient that they want to know what I will be able to do. So rather than telling that you will be a BCom graduate, tell them that after doing this course, you will be able to file a balance sheet. You will be able to, complete the books of account. That adds granularity. That adds that these will be the outcomes that I will be really able to do. Becoming a BCom graduate is not helping me, but these things will, help me to perform somewhere. So that's why outcome becomes important. Now here I really want to focus upon twin factors of institutional proliferation and content commoditization. Now, by institutional proliferation, I mean that, right, population is increasing, and because population is increasing, institutions are also increasing by leaps and bounds. So how to check if that institution is offering a quality education or not? Even now recruiters are looking that if you have done an internship in your course, if you have hands on experience, and if you're performing good in your interview, if you're performing good in the demo part, so you will be selected. So that's why outcome is being focused now. Objective is just setting for everybody, it's common for everyone, but outcome is learner based. Then content commoditization. By content commoditization, I mean that content is a commodity right now. You can Google content because there is abundance of content available. Even some universities like Yale University, they are offering their courses online. You can search lectures there. But how you can see that is that content important, able to contribute to your performance or not? That you will be able to do only if you have hands-on experience with that content. So due to these two markers, basically there is a weakening, that how to check if a candidate is good and, for job or not. So the solution to this problem is outcome based learning. If your course is based on outcome based learning, for sure you're able to perform good, because focus is on demonstration rather than just knowledge. Thank you. That's all.
Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am. Very nicely you described uh, about outcome-based learning,
Thank you so
benefits
much, ma'am.
of outcome-based learning and for teacher and learner. Really
Yeah.
appreciable speech. So now I would like to invite all the participants to ask your question regarding outcome-based learning. You can also text on chat box also.
I hope I was able to explain, because I'm already having throat infection. So Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, ma'am, I want to add on something from my own experience being a teacher.
Yes,
See,
please go. Mm.
yeah, there are certain things which we can implement in our classrooms as well. Though I have implemented it in Thailand, but it can be used in India as well. There is a concept of warmers and coolers, if you are aware about it. So, warmers are those activities which we do when we are starting a day or we are starting a subject, if we are starting a classroom. So, for example, there is one of the very famous warmer that is Simon Says. You can probably Google it, and I will really recommend you to Google it. And these warmers and coolers contribute to increase concentration of students in the classroom. So, if you really want to enhance the concentration of students, you for sure can use it in your classrooms.
Okay, so yeah, ma'am, you can also see the chat box, or
Yeah.
I can repeat here. Uh, Dr. Biswajit Mupatra sir is asking why OBL is not fruitful in most of the government school.
Okay. See, so the curriculum that has been focused by the government school, it is already set. And as far as I could analyze the government schools, the pain that teachers are taking. See, some teachers are really taking a lot of pain in enhancing that outcome, that how my student is able to use. But you cannot change the curriculum. It's there. It will be there. You cannot change the syllabus. But yes, as teachers, it's our individual take. We can include outcome based learning. We can include certain things to make it relevant. So we have to see that whatever we are teaching, how is it going to be relevant for that student so that he could use it after, for example, I know that addition is going to help him out. I know that subtraction is going to help him out. So we have to make a connection. So it's not just something that is being there in the the syllabus, that yes, you're going to learn an outcome based learning, but we have to introduce it in the different sectors, how we are going to implement it in the classes.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is from Ranjita, and she asking how outcome-based learning is different from learning objectives that she has set before teaching.
Okay. See, learning objective that I set for my student is based on the curriculum that I'm given, and these are the objectives which is focused on me because I'm setting the objective. But outcome is something which is focused on the learner because he is going to achieve it. Objective can be same for all, but outcome, it need not be same for all, because outcome is how learner is responding to your objective. So it's like objective is mine. I have set an objective. There is a course objective, but outcome is learning outcome. So it is based on the learner.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, it was a very beautiful presentation, informative and effective. So my
Thank you so
question
much.
was that if a learning outcome is not achieved,
Hmm.
uh, how will you rectify the teaching learning process?
See, we have to look at the building blocks that which is leading to that outcome. Like if that student is not able to achieve a certain thing, so we have to analyze that where that student is lacking behind. Now, for example, if I take an example that there are some students who are good at understanding, who are good at remembering, but they are not good at writing skills. So that means that the outcome which has to achieve in the the final outcome which which they should be able to do, that is lacking behind because they're not good at writing skills. So we have to focus upon that. But outcome based learning, mind me, that it really includes a lot of input from the teacher side.
Yeah, that means teacher is responsible for not achieving the learning outcome, which is the
Not
teacher's
fully
responsibility.
responsible. Yeah, it is teacher's responsibility to make that outcome happen. But if that outcome is not achieved, then it is not just the teacher's responsibility that is not achieved. Perhaps there is some fault in the learner. If he is not able to write an answer, so that's not a teacher's fault, that's lacking behind in his writing skills. So we have to focus upon, see, outcome based learning, it works in collaboration. So a teacher and a learner both are responsible for whatever your outcome is going to be.
Yeah, that's correct. But for example, for an English language, we
Hmm.
have to develop the four skills,
Yeah,
isn't it? That is
LSRW.
learning
Yeah.
and you are an English teacher, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So learning, what to say, understanding
LS,
LSRW.
LSRW skills. Yeah.
Yeah. So these four skills, they may
Hmm.
not be achieved in the classroom or even after. We see in English medium schools, many learners come out, they pass their 10th standard, but they don't know how to write an application. They
Right.
don't know how to apply to the
Yes.
even to the principal a leave letter. So
Hmm.
now, how will we judge or how will we rectify these flaws even after passing 10th standard? A student cannot write a leave application. So now, who's
Hmm.
responsible for that?
Ma'am, see, if the student is in 10th standard and is not able to write an application, that's very much easiest to write. So that means that the student, the classes that which he have passed upon, because at 10th standard, if we are expecting that student is getting improved in 1 day or 2 days, is not possible, because
Yeah.
his base is not formed. So we have to look at where he is lacking. So if he is not able to write an application, is the format something he is not able to write? And if the writing skills, is not good, if I'm talking about these writing skills, which is very much important in English, if he is not able to write that, then we have to work upon it. We have to work in collaboration with that student. That is the tense not correct? Is the vocabulary not correct? Maybe that student is facing with some learning disability which we are not able to analyze. So we have to work upon that student.
Excuse me,
Thank you.
madam.
Yeah.
Madam, actually, tutorial classes and internal assessment, and
Mhm.
before internal assessment, another internal examination is there. So different types of exams are there as far as
Right.
general curriculum is concerned. And as far as
Mm.
science students are concerned, you have project work and project assessment and field tours. These are there.
Right. Right.
These, these are not sufficient for this outcome-based learning.
Sir, it is sufficient.
Good
Yeah.
education policy. And
Sir,
also NAC competition is there for universities and autonomous colleges.
yeah.
And the entrance examinations are there for getting admission into different streams.
Hmm.
So these are certain initiatives, those are taken for this outcome based learnings. So it's not that the government institutes are not taking any effort for outcome based learning.
Yeah, no, no, sir. Obviously, they are taking. I have added on to this that I know government teachers who are very good friends of mine, and they're really taking a lot of initiatives at their own part. And even schools are collaborating with some good institutes and accreditation bodies to bring out that quality education. They are introducing the fields, they are introducing everything. But the thing which I feel is lacking behind is that see, as if we are if we are into schools, government schools, most of the schools are taking initiatives, but there are some schools who are just focused upon the course, that yes, this is what you have to study and you have to write an exam. So for them, the final outcome for them is just to write an exam. But as an
The
out yeah.
parameter or any particular percentage, either to get first class or second class like that, or to get 70% or 80% or 90%.
Mhm. Sir, I always have this problem with grades are important. That's what I'm saying, that when I mentioned what you need to learn from your outcome, that where you're lacking behind, if you're getting a particular grade, if you're getting a particular percentage, what building blocks are leading you to that grade. So if we work upon that, perhaps the grades can be enhanced. And the CBCS that is being offered in many universities now, the choice-based credit system, I hope you're familiar with that. So it is offering you this liberty that even if you're not getting good grades, you're actually studying in an institute which is well accredited and very much good in values and the quality education that it's offering.
Yes, madam.
Yeah.
Also, the science students, madam, they get admission in higher education in different streams like engineering, medical, technical educations. And there also the competence is required, and they require this OLB.
Sir, I'm not that much well versed with the science stream, but again, I would say that, see, what we have, thought in our minds is that if you are, if you are graduated from this university, you are a good student. If you are graduated from a university which is not that much famous, from a college which is not that much famous, that means that you're not that much intellectual. So if even if you deny this fact, it exists. It is a truth. If you are pass out from a good universities, recognized universities, then you are a good candidate. But now there is changed scenario. Even the employability, the slide that I have mentioned at the end, they are not looking at.
Yes, you have to put more efforts to get a higher percentage and to get a berth as far as these technical institutes are concerned. And also on that basis, the teachers have to also put more effort for getting the students passing out at a higher percentage.
For sure. So that is why it is collaboration. We cannot
Yes.
rely on student. We cannot rely on teachers. It has to be a collaborative effort.
But certain institutes are there. Not all institutes are there who are capable of getting the students pass out at a signing percentage.
So then institution somewhere is lacking behind. The education is not lacking behind.
Yes, madam. We speak of IITs, but all technical institutes are not equivalent to IITs. Or we speak
Yeah.
of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, but all medical science institutes are not All India Institute of Medical Sciences, like that.
Absolutely fine, sir. Absolutely right.
Yes. And
Yeah.
again, madam,
So,
another thing, even though this
yeah.
type of curriculum is there, you see how our IITians are going out to foreign countries and also medical officers.
Yeah.
So, what is the objective behind all such curriculum that you mentioned?
Sir, see, like for example, if I am saying that if you are doing a curriculum and after that,
Because
completion, yeah,
getting more works and remuneration outside than our Indian subcontinent.
yeah,
The medical officers are also engaged outside. You see, in Britain, during Corona, in Britain, 7 Indian medical officers died. You know,
yeah.
you see, if they are engaged here, so I think they are already safe at our country.
Sir, it is the personal intake. So,
Yes, now
yeah.
yes, now what I'm telling, you told about such type of curriculum, but after this, what is happening? They are going outside.
Sir, because they are getting opportunities in India. Yes, there are opportunities in India as well. But if I tell you today that you're getting such amount of payment in India and you're just getting double outside, so for sure you will move toward it. So there is some the problem is not in the education, problem is not in the curriculum, but it's there in the employability section.
Yes, madam.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes.
Later on, if I want to contact you, because I am also an English teacher, can I
Okay.
have your number? My
Yeah,
WhatsApp
yeah,
number.
for sure.
I'll give you my WhatsApp number. You can send your number.
Okay,
Take
ma'am.
down my number 99. Can you take down, madam?
Yeah, 99.
He is
Four,
also
five.
in the group, ma'am, and I will also forward
455 0 0
Yeah.
7301.
Mhm.
My name is
Okay,
Kurshin,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. I'll contact you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're most
Sally, one
welcome.
more query from Dr. Vispajit Mohapatra, sir.
Yes.
And he wants to know, according to you, objective basis learning based curriculum is not prepared by government.
Sir, I would not say that it is not prepared by government because mostly curriculums are standard. So you cannot. I'm not focusing just upon the curriculum. I'm focusing upon the curriculum implementation. So outcome is how you are implementing that curriculum. It's not just about the curriculum, but the implementation of it. Government schools are offering the outcome based learning curriculums because there you have the opportunities of fields where students are also working on the projects. So if they are working on the projects, that means that whatever they have gained in the classroom, they are utilizing that knowledge to create something. So even if your student is creating something, if even if they are making a project report, even if they are making something, so that means that it is based on outcome based learning.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're
Now,
most welcome.
uh, if any participants have any query or want to share your opinion, so you can just unmute your microphone and you can share your opinion. And then after 2 or 3 minutes, we will close our session.
Don't forget to contact me, ma'am.
Hello.
Don't forget to contact me.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thanks a lot, Vaishali ma'am, for very nicely you present the your presentation, and I really thanks to all the participants for giving me your time. And tomorrow we will catch you on the same time. And thank you so much.
Sir, tomorrow madam will be available or not?
Sorry, sir.
Tomorrow Vaishali madam will be available or not? Because
Yes,
she was
yes, I
telling
will
about
be.
throat infection. No, you are telling about throat infection. That's why I am telling.
Yeah. No, sir, I will be present here. I'm very much fond of these webinars.
Yes, madam. Because new education policy is there. Already these are
Okay.
implemented. So it's out to how put the students in the right and the right track and how to get fruitful results.
Yeah,
Or
it's our data. Yeah.
so, sir, and other participants, we can discuss on the chat, on the WhatsApp chat also. So, time to close now. Tomorrow we will catch you on the same time, and please log in on the time. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Welcome.